Au début, quand je t'ai vu, Fred, j'ai pensé que ça s'en irait. Je t'aime tellement. Il faut que je t'aime comme je suis.
Je comprends pas.
Je veux être une femme.
Tu vas être heureux comme ça va ranger les choses? Tu crois que je vais me martyriser? J'ai pensé que je suis une mauvaise mère? Je m'en fous!
Moi, j'ai besoin de lui. J'ai besoin de me réveiller avec lui.
Et ton père? Ton père voudra jamais te voir en femme.
J'ai besoin de toi, Fred. Sans toi, j'y arriverai pas.
On va faire ça ensemble.
So Xavier has now finished what he calls his trilogy of impossible love stories. You know, love with obstacles, and transsexuality is one of those obstacles. But he has gone on record as saying that to him this is very much a secondary point of interest. So what do you think most interests him about the relationship between Lawrence and Fred, and what interests you the most also?
Go, was it?
Yeah, the movie is a love story for sure. It's not about my character turning into a woman. It's more about our couple dealing with that situation. It could have been another obstacle, like you say, you know, but it's more about how she can handle that change and how she can deal with the fact that she thought she knew me. She thought she was in love with a special man, and she finds out one day that he was another kind of guy, and he was in fact a woman.
He felt like he's a woman.
He felt like he was a woman from the beginning. So yes, the movie is the story of this couple handling that crazy situation.
And it's also, well, it's also about how far you can go to love someone, how far love can go in a relationship. Well, love can go very far, but is it viable? Do you say that? Viable? Can you possibly?
Is it possible?
Yeah, is it possible to live this kind of relationship? Because they keep on loving each other, but is it, you know? It's a situation also where the community's look towards them has changed because of his change, so her change. So can you handle it also as a couple? At first they're a little bit aside from society, you know, they're kind of bohemians or like he's a poet, and they're not like the typical normal people, but it's acceptable, you know. I mean, they're living it quite well. But once he turns into a woman, she has a difficulty to handle the situation, to accept the look from the community. So yeah, to accept the difference. How far can you go in this direction? And I think she can go further, because also she's relieved to become a woman, whereas my character is kind of losing herself in the process.
Oui?
Well, can you talk about the scene, Melvil, in which you go to the school where she teaches for the first time dressed as a woman, and when she's standing in front of her pupils, you might expect on her face a look of fear of being judged, but instead there is this look of euphoria.
Yeah, because it's the really the moment where she helps me after she accepted my decision. She helps me to dress up as a woman and to handle the community, the society look. So I go there for the first time in my classroom, And on the top of the frame, you have all those figures of philosophers, very important philosophers. And I enter the room dressed up as a woman in a green suit. And you have everybody stand still in the classroom, and in the audience in the cinema, the same reaction. So it's a long moment. I just wait for one reaction, and in the audience, in the classroom, there is a long silence, and then a student wants to ask something, and everybody thinks that he's going to ask something about what is that changing, and who are you, and what happens. And in fact, she goes into another subject, and she talks about something completely different. And that's, for me, that's more like how they will accept me. It's going to go okay, it's going to go fine, even though if I come as a woman, the young people are ready to understand my point of view, my story. And then the movie goes on, and it's more difficult than this, but yeah, it's a very important moment in the movie.
And can you talk about, for you as an actor, the first day that you were in the clothes as a woman? I imagine there was a question mark about this character, and you only really understood it, once you put on the clothes and the jewelry and the makeup.
Absolutely. In fact, when Xavier Dolan, the director, makes the costume himself. I mean, he's in charge of the costume. So we had like 2 weeks of preparation where he would dress me up with special dresses. It was like playing with a doll, like putting one earring and then searching the look of the character. And that was kind of fun, and that helped me to take it in a funny way, like another kind of character if I was supposed to be dressed up as a priest or as a guy going to the moon, or it was just like a costume for me. I could wear high heels, it was easy to walk with. I mean, I had no problem myself with the costume. But then when I came on the set, some looks were more like difficult to handle. Some looks of like people in the street, extras, or even in the crew, that they will look at me and make me feel bad because their look was questioning. But they were not questioning me, they were questioning themselves, like, oh, maybe a guy, for instance, could look at me and say, oh, maybe he's good looking, dressed up as a woman, or women looking at me like saying, oh, finally, maybe women are attractive. So there was a lot of question going on, not about me, but about people. And that's the matter of the film too. It's like how people deal with somebody choosing that. The choice is made, and for me, my character goes with the choice all the way through, but around him, people go crazy.
Well, you mentioned that Xavier also has a credit as a costume designer on this film, and Suzanne, there's the scene, of course, in which Fred, she has this grand entrance to a party, and it's like the greatest Lady Gaga video that's ever been shot that Lady Gaga wasn't in. So maybe Xavier should do this now after the trilogy. Maybe music videos.
You want us to tell him?
Yeah, I think he seems, from what I've read, quite keen to now that he's finished this trilogy to try other things. Maybe go to America or a different genre. Has he given either of you any hints? Because he's just making films all the time.
He's actually making another movie right now. So it's totally different. I don't know how much I can tell, so I won't tell anything. But yeah, he's already on. It's in Quebec, yeah. And yeah, he's probably open to doing a video someday. But I think he's gonna keep on doing films, though. And as an actor, also, he has a lot to give as an actor. He's a good actor, so I think he should be working also.
Well, that sequence we were talking about in particular is so stylized.
Yes.
Just your own personal opinions. Can that excessive style sometimes get in the way of the storytelling, do you think?
No, because he knows exactly what he's doing. There are some very intense scenes between the character, very emotional scenes, and in between those scenes he needs to have some breathing and to just, because he loves music, he puts music on the set, and when he's writing he's thinking about the music already. So it's more like a pleasure he gives to himself, to the crew and to the audience.
And life is like this also. It's like a mirror of a lot of things. You know, in life you have those moments where you feel like you're going, you feel like you're in a movie. Those are really strong emotions that you're having. And I think he's also, while he's doing this, he's making us live those emotions. that the characters are going through. And also it's a piece of, it's an artwork. The whole movie is an artwork. Of course you can always tell, you could always say that a painting has too much red or too, you know, it's just a matter of what you like or not. But to me there's not.
Yeah, and it's also a question
much.
of rhythm. The movie is quite long,
Yes.
but it's always surprising, and you follow the characters. It takes place in 10 years, so you see the costume change, the fashion changes, a lot of music, so it's a way to make the movie entertaining. It's
Yes.
very entertaining movie.
Yes.
Well, let's
I love
talk
that.
about the length of the film, because even the really positive reviews, you know, they always bring this up, that it
Yeah.
is as long as it is. I understand it was worked on quite a bit in the edit, and I'm wondering, from your perspective, Melvil, if essentially you're playing two characters in this, because you know you're a woman trapped in a man's body, and then you know living out the second half of her life as a woman. So. Is the length necessary just because we need to essentially get to know two people?
Exactly. I think there are more than two characters in my character. There are like maybe four, because all through the process, I'm not the same at the beginning of the process when I dress up as a woman, but I still have this haircut, short hairs, and I'm just trying to find my way and to deal with the people around me. Then when we find our character 5 years later, I've taken some hormones, so my body has changed, the long hairs and a different look. Then I'm more and more confident, so I dress up like more nicely at the end of the movie, and I'm looking more like a woman towards the end of the film. So there were many characters to play, and also because sometimes I have to be more masculine, and even Xavier pushed me in that direction. Like even when I'm dressed up as a woman, he told me like be more mannish, keep your manners like a man, and because she needs to be attractive to my character, even though I'm dressed up as a woman, because she's a straight heterosexual. So there was a lot of characters to play all through and I think this length, 10 years, and the movie length, like 2 hours and something, it's important because you get to know the characters, you get to understand their relationship, and you get attached to them.
And finally, I had a couple of observations about this as a 90s period film, which in and of itself is quite funny now that we're making period films of the 90s. Xavier talks about it as being his period, and yet he was born in 1989, so he would have been 10 at the end of that decade. Really, his kind of experience would be more the 2000s, and through the three films, I think at least there's this, he fetishizes in a way the 80s and 90s. These are clearly periods he's interested in and would have liked to have been more involved with. Maybe these films are a way of, you know, recreating the decades he would like to have been born in.
He should be there to answer you, I think.
No, it's more a child thing. He was a child by that time, so maybe he saw the adults dressing up like figures, like characters. And because he was a child, he liked to disguise himself, but he couldn't do it in the reality. So it's like some kind of a cinematic, fantasizing idea of costume and cinema and mise en scène, I guess.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because each decade tends to have a hangover period. You know, like the beginning of the 90s is still recovering from the 80s.
Yeah.
Some of the fashion.
Yes.
You need sometimes.
Very 80s actually.
Yes,
In that way.
it's true.
Yeah, you need sometimes to take some to see things from the distance and watch what was good by that period. I thought the 90s was shit when I was living
Me
the
too.
90s, but now when you see Xavier's movie, you feel no, the costume, the haircut, the music was not that bad. It was actually something strong.
I didn't understand the costumes at first. I was like, what is this? They were all too big at first. So that was really, oh my God.
Because when you are in the
But
period, you
that's-
don't see it the same way.
Then once I got more and more in the movie, I understood Xavier's vision of it. He kind of makes it interesting. Well, it's always like this probably, but yeah, more the 80s and 90s were not like the most glamorous, I think.